welcome to This Week in the PNFL. I'm your host, Mark Hill, and along for the ride is Mitch Grawl and Dean Chambers. How you doing tonight, fellas?
Very good.
Fantastic.
All right, and we have a special guest with us this week. He is with my nemesis and my brother from the same state, James Bloomer. How you doing, Mr. Bloomer?
Good. I don't know how I'm your nemesis. I mean, that would put us on the same level.
Oh well, yeah. Look, I'm
works.
trying to boost you up to my level. Okay, take that. I'm trying to give you a leg up.
That's not a leg up. That's a leg down. I'm sorry.
No. I think you got that kind of mixed up. You know.
I'm pretty sure I have better seasons not trying than you have when you tried. So.
Oh my gosh! Listen to these under 500 coaches trash talk already.
What's your record at, Mitch, this season?
I ain't talking about this season. I'm here. Let me go back and polish my ring.
All right, guys. So we have we've got through the first 4 games of the season. A lot of surprises out there. We're going to talk about that in the middle segment with the guys as far as what surprised them, what hasn't surprised them. Pretty much the state of where we're at right now. Obviously, you guys know. First segment, we go through the games, and there were some pretty good ones out there. I'm really curious to see or have their take on it, and then we will go into the upcoming games as far as going into week 5. So, and
there were a few really bad ones out there as well.
Yeah, and there was some bad ones out there as well. I got to admit there were some stinkers out there. And then we're going to talk about. Go ahead.
Although it was last week that Rich called one of the games an abomination. That was last week, not this past week.
Yes,
previous week.
There was one this week that was an abomination.
Oh yeah. So
I have to stay tuned to find out which one that is.
Yes, we will. No. And then at the very end of our segment, we are going to talk about the second championship game in the PCFL. I'll have Dean run through those. I did come in and watch a couple of the games. I think I watched both of the games, a portion of them, Saturday night. And I think we're going to have a pretty good real good game coming up this week. So if you guys are ready, we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. Player of the week for week 4 was Zach Wilson from Seattle. We will go through that. He had a game against Chicago. I'm thinking that one probably turned some heads, but we'll jump into that when we get to that game. So to kick things off, we're starting with the first game on the list. We have Jacksonville hosting Indianapolis, and Indianapolis pretty much held form what they need to do to take this victory by winning this one 28-16. We're going to start this off with our guest, James. You're up, James.
It's Tim's consistent improvement. He's been one of the better of the if you wanted to call the lower coaches, the sub 400 coaches, and it looks like he's starting to instill that he is the second best coach in that division.
Ooh, Mitch, you're up.
Yeah, well, Jacksonville does what Jacksonville does. 12 first downs, not a whole lot of offense. George P., I think I've heard that George P. is looking to sit out or ask for a trade. Likely will end up in Chicago at some point. But Tim definitely is taking care of business with the teams he needs to take care of business with. So, congrats.
All right, Dean.
Yeah, this game wasn't even really as close as the score indicates. You know, we watched this on Discord, and Indianapolis was pretty much in control of the game from beginning to end. They went 11 of 14 on third downs. They had almost 400 yards of passing. It's in pretty good balance. Excuse me. 92 yards of rushing, 306 in passing. So, yeah, this was a solid effort by the Colts, and Tim is putting together a pretty good season so far. His only losses to the Jets. And not sure what's going on with Jacksonville. They didn't look good in this game.
All right. Next game up, we have the New York Jets taking in this to overtime with the New England Patriots. And my question is, what's going on with the Jets? They're looking human. So, Mitch, we're going to start off with you as they took this one 41-35 in overtime. Mitch.
No, we know the Jets coaching staff is on vacation, and so they've got it on autopilot right now. So that's what you see in there. When teams go on autopilot, the defense is usually what you see suffer the most. So Mox, give it another good run and came up short, but this time he did not outgain his opponent. So a little bit different script, but kind of the same result. Big numbers for Mox, but no win.
All right, Dean.
Yeah, and if I remember right, it was another fourth quarter collapse where it looked like New England might actually beat the Jets. But you look at the formula for doing that, and there was a turnover and some missed opportunities, and only 5 of 10 for third down for third downs, and 0-1 for fourth downs. So Patriots fell short again, and yet another of several winning games that the Patriots didn't manage to win. And this one went into overtime.
Yeah. Well, you're right, Dean. Mox shuggied. He had a 28-7 lead, and then he shuggied.
See, I knew you were going to say that.
James, you're up. Did he shuggy this week?
No, the thing I'm curious about is Huntley was in the game for a while. So is there going to be quarter controversy? Because he completed 7% of his passes and threw a touchdown. So maybe Jones is time to get traded.
Okay. Next up, we have San Francisco hosting Denver. Charlie's turning things around as he took this one 24-19. Dean.
Yeah, Denver made a comeback in the second half of this game. This game really isn't as close as the score looks like. I mean, Denver was looking pretty bad for the first 2.5, 3 quarters of the game. And San Francisco seemed to be pretty much in control, and momentum started going in the direction of Denver in the fourth quarter, but they fell short on the comeback attempt. They just ran out of time. And Purdy completed 85% of his passes to be player of the game. Threw an interception, but 3 touchdown passes, and that was certainly a bright spot for the 49ers.
All right. James, you're up.
The NFC West shows their dominance of the AFC West, so go Niners.
All right. Mitch.
Until the Super Bowl.
Yep. Mitch, you're up.
That dominance all the way into the Super Bowl when the NFC West turns into turnovers. But, I was surprised. I thought Denver would show up and win this game. Obviously, they did have some numbers that pointed in that direction that they would, but that short passing game from Washington just helped really control the clock, and Denver sputtered a little bit on offense. So nice win for Charlie.
All right.
I didn't know Washington played in this game.
San Francisco did look like what Washington is trying to be. Yes.
Okay. We have the Buffalo Bills taking on the Houston Oilers, and definitely not really a high-scoring game. A lot of passing going back and forth. Let's see. Houston threw it for 29 times for 259 yards. Meanwhile, Buffalo chucked it for 43 attempts, completing 299 yards. Outgained them on the ground, 132-85, but it still wasn't enough as Houston took this one 20-14. Dean, you're up.
Yeah, Buffalo outgained Houston by almost 100 yards. I see that's 66, 88 yards. But they had 2 turnovers to Houston's 1 turnover, and that probably cost them the game. The young quarterback kind of made some misreads and some bad throws, and that might have cost them the game. I mean, it's a 1-score game. It doesn't take much to cost your team the game when you lose by 6 points. So I know from a lot of the commentary by Rich and others, they're questioning, is this Houston team really playing back up to the level of last season yet and going, winning over Buffalo, a 1-3 team by only 6 points? You could make an argument, not quite. So we'll see what happens the rest of the season. I believe Buffalo is 1-3. They're not looking very good either.
All right, James.
Well, Mayfield caught something from Locke in the Super Bowl, so that's kind of what's going on in the interceptions. I'm not sure what's going on with the Robinson thing. I do not understand why he's starting. Williams is definitely the better quarterback. Probably if Williams started, they would have won this game.
Okay. Coach, let's talk about your victory.
Well, another spectacular win for the Houston Oilers, always bringing the ratings, making it exciting. A big 98-yard pick six against that quarterback you just mentioned there, James. So we were happy to see him in the game. His accuracy was impeccable. He threw it to Houston defenders nicely, right in stride for that 98-yard return. So we thought there was nothing wrong with that at all. Outside of that, though, I will say that there's a little bit of, I guess, some work that needs to be done on the offensive side of the ball for Houston. We'll get it figured out. I mean, it's only week 4. We don't start playing until week 13. So, we'll have it figured out by the time the playoffs get here.
All right. Let's see who we have next. We have Pittsburgh hosting Las Vegas, and another high passing game effort by both teams. But in the end, Pittsburgh took this one 24-20. Mitch.
Yeah, Pittsburgh is another one where I thought they were going to really muscle in here. They got the victory, so that was not a surprise, but it was a little bit tougher than I was expecting. Yeah, I know that Las Vegas won that first week game, but I thought Pittsburgh was going to come in and dominate this game, to be honest with you. But they came in, they got the win, and that's all that really matters. But maybe Las Vegas, maybe they're back to that season where they lost 10 games, but it was all like a combined 3 points or something. I don't know. But anyway, we'll see what happens.
All right. Dean.
Yeah, the first half of this game, it looked like Las Vegas might win this game, and they were looking pretty good. But I think those 2 interceptions their quarterback threw probably helped cost him this game. I mean, that's usually not going to help you win a close game like this.
Okay. James.
I think the AFC West is going to be an interesting division. They only lost by a few points after throwing 2 interceptions. I'm not sure if Pittsburgh and Denver are starting to play down towards their level or if Las Vegas is starting to play up. It'll be interesting to see later in the season how this goes.
Okay. Who do we have as we're just motoring right along here? We have the New York Giants taking on our Philadelphia Eagles, and it's going to be interesting to see what Coach Bloomer has to say on this one, as they came up a bit short with New York taking this one 41-21. Dean.
Yeah, we're looking at 186 rushing yards by the Giants, which helped with the time of possession and helped keep the offense going. You look at the passing games of the 2 teams, and Shedeur Sanders just happens to be the player of the game, and was a better performer of the 2 quarterbacks, and that offensive balance and time of possession and consistently moving the ball led to 41 points and a win in this game.
All right. Mitch.
And it was amazing to watch Charles Barkley there running that 50-yard off tackle, not even a sweep, but off tackle there. Looks like he's lost some weight since being on the TNT crew. But yeah, Barkley had a very nice game there for New York, and the fictional quarterback. Another big game for him. So we're in fantasy league now. So good stuff.
Did I hear that right? Did you say Charles?
Yeah, Charles Barkley. Isn't that who that is? Isn't that Charles Barkley?
I didn't know that he had come out of retirement to play football for the Giants.
That's what I was saying. He's lost some weight since being on TNT.
Mm-hmm.
He was quick. I mean, have you seen that? When was the last time you saw a 50-yard run that was almost an up-the-middle run play?
Hardly ever.
That wasn't a quarterback draw where the entire team leaves the middle of the field. So
yeah,
he was never quick, not even in his prime. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he had power, not speed. All right, Coach Boomer. What
Speaking of not
here?
quick, let's go to our next game.
Yeah, Coach, what do we got?
Okay. First off, I want to point out that the quarterback playing for the Eagles is not a rookie like Dean likes to keep saying. He was drafted the same year as McCaffrey and the better of the two quarterbacks. But this game was just a horribly defensive game. Wide receivers were open all over the field. People were getting runs after the catch. Like 50-yard run, like Mitch said. It was just a bad defensive game. And it was very much just chunk it downfield and see what happens. And Dean, you said balance. 50 passes to 25 25 rushes is balanced. There's no balance in this game. It was all path.
Other than long runs.
Yep. 186 yards of rushing. No, that's balanced.
Versus 330 yards of pass. That's not balanced. It's still double. It's almost double. It's your passing was double what rushing was. He did a good job.
But it's the attempts, though. It's the attempts.
Yeah,
yes,
49 attempts.
You couldn't just defend only his passing game and somehow win the game. You ran the ball enough, the defense on it.
It doesn't matter. There was no defense being played on either side of the ball. It was, in fact, this game was really close up until almost the fourth quarter. So it was a real close game to the fourth quarter. So
James, the real question is: will you now be hiring a full-time defensive coordinator for your team, or are you just going to stick with the one coach? Right now.
No, our defense is going to fix because we're going to be playing the worst offense, I think, next week.
Okay, we'll talk about that when we get to the segment. See who that might be.
That's called a tease here in Radio Land.
Actually, we're going to get to it right now.
Yes, as we come up to our next game, this was our second overtime game, and there was a lot of passing, a lot of running, a lot of teams, one team was doing a lot of running. Bend but don't break, I guess, as Washington took on Atlanta, and in overtime, Washington took this one 9-6. Yes, 9-6. James, you're up.
Oh, this game was bad. Neither team was playing good offense. It was just bad. And Dean showed that you do not sweep on Jerry because all those sweeps barely went anywhere. This game came down to a correct profile call where Jerry actually went for it on fourth down in the closing minutes of OT and converted it to set up the game-winning field goal. So, see, that's why your profiles matter. But yeah, this was just a bad offensive game all around. If you actually watch it, there's all these numbers, but nobody was playing good offense.
Mitch.
This was interesting. Atlanta had good balance, 35 attempts passing, 34 carries rushing, so they were definitely trying to be a balanced attack against Washington. But the problem was, as James said, there was 34 rushing attempts, only averaged 1.9 yards a carry. And so when you're going to run the ball that much and move the ball that little, it puts you in a lot of third down and long situations, which is, led to that 4 of 14 on third down for Atlanta. But you know what? Washington wasn't any better. They were terrible too. So this was really a battle of who was going to stink the least at the end. And as James said, Jerry had that riverboat gambler call that helped get him that victory.
All right. Coach, let's talk about it.
And I'll remind you, on that call, there was a defender right on that receiver, practically glued to him, but he still managed to make the catch, which made the difference.
Oh, I forgot to mention that it was an interception by your team that set up that drive to score the final field goal. So,
Questions, comments? Too. Questions, comments over there, Coach?
So there were 34 rushing attempts and 35 passing attempts. Is that balanced enough for you folks?
Yeah.
As I said, that's balance. That's an attempt for balance. But you got to go better than 1.9 yards a carry.
If you would have ran the ball inside most of that time, you would have probably put up the same rushing totals that Jerry put up, but your sweeps kept going for negative yardage.
No comments on that one, Coach?
It's just the way it goes sometimes.
Okay.
That's just the way it is.
You can't always guess.
Some things will never change.
And now for the game that really means nothing and just a complete joke is...
Yep, we have Seattle hosting...
Talk about a coaching staff taking the week off. Oh, my God.
Seattle hosting Chicago. As one coach mentioned it to me, it's a win is a win regardless. If the full staff was there and the staff wasn't there, what matters are wins and losses. Zach Wilson, who was player of the week, was also player of this game, obviously, as Seattle took this one 54-18. Dean.
Yeah, I think this game you were so worried about somehow Chicago making a comeback and losing that you literally didn't light up that victory cigar until there were about 20 seconds left on the clock.
Pretty much, yeah.
Your team was pretty much dominant through most of this game. Chicago, put together a couple scores that ended up being more cosmetic than anything else. The game wasn't even close, not even as close as the score indicates. And Zach Wilson, who was the best quarterback drafted in the 2039 draft, he's the only one of those two drafted in the first round that has consistently been a starter since he was drafted, as opposed to getting traded a couple times, or traded once, I should say, and ending up a backup on another team. So anyway, very good win by Seattle. Seattle is 4-0. And we'll see what happens to the rest of the season. Doesn't look like Chicago is probably going to make the playoffs this season. I would say Seattle has a better chance of making the playoffs right now this season than Chicago. Put it that way.
All right. James.
We'll talk about Seattle's future in the next segment, but yeah, Seattle got the win. They should have gotten the win. I mean, it's against a first season coach. I expected the win. I mean, it's good that they put up a lot of points. Good that they did it. Now, hopefully, they can keep putting up points and stopping people. They're looking good, but in 2 weeks they play Pittsburgh. We'll see how good they really are then.
Well, don't cut out New York. New York, the Giants, they're good. They're 3-1 also, so I'm not looking that far ahead.
Okay,
Mitch, go ahead.
We've had a lot of these teams start big and they still finish at 4 or 5 wins.
Yeah, true.
You might be done. You might not win another game and finish at 4-12. And
yeah,
you do have Green Bay on your schedule, so you'll probably finish at 5-11.
Oh wow, I got Mitch 1 and Mitch 2 over here. Okay, Mitch, you're up. Mitch 1.
Yeah, well, I will say, I mean, this had to be probably the worst 54-point scoring offense I've ever seen in my life. Everybody, I mean, 30 carries for 2.9 yards a carry. I mean, you're not going to win championships doing that, Mark. And throwing an interception against a first-year coach, I mean, and giving up a 28-yard interception return. I don't care if you did throw 5 touchdowns. That's just inexcusable. So, I mean, you need to be preparing right now for Shadrach Sanders and see what's going on, because I don't see how in the world you sleep at night with that kind of performance.
Yes, I know. It just, yeah. Yes, and like I told you guys on Discord, I'm not going to be happy until I see zeros all the way across the board, because anything can happen, as Dean knows, Mitch knows, James knows, pretty much every coach out there. Hell, Shuggy, Mox, hey, they can always come back, so you don't breathe until there's zeros all the way across the board. So,
Speaking of
Shuggy,
you got to about the systems here. Debbie Downer number 1 and Debbie Downer number 2 here.
Pretty much.
Just
I don't worry about Shuggy coming back. Shuggy doesn't have an offense to come back.
Going into the last game of week 4, we have the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Green Bay Packers. Close game. I'd say it was pretty even. I mean, both of them, let's see, in the passing stats, Minnesota had 214 yards. Green Bay had 192 on the ground. Minnesota had 122 and Green Bay had 154, but where it counts the most, Minnesota ended up taking this one 24-21. Head cheerleader Mitch, you're up.
Well, I thought Minnesota's game plan was immaculate. I think they did a fantastic job. Backup quarterback played the vast majority of the game, and they were still able to get the win. Just a chef's kiss to Minnesota in what they did. However, oh my goodness. If for those of you all who listen to our podcast but have not participated in watching the games with us on Friday nights, I encourage you to, if nothing else, watch for the schedule of games that I send out on Friday afternoon and see when the Green Bay game is going to be played. Because if you do nothing else on a Friday evening and early Saturday morning, you have got to watch the Green Bay games, because it is like must-see TV to see how is Green Bay going to lose the game this week.
Oh,
this
my goodness.
Wow. Going forward on 4th and 600 yards and inside your red zone and a tie game.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Shuggy again. So, must see TV on Friday nights. If nothing else, come watch the Green Bay game. Whoever they're playing, doesn't even matter. Just got to come watch the Green Bay game.
At this stage, it doesn't even matter. All right, Dean, you're up.
Someone is having way too much fun being entertained at the expense of Shuggy and the Green Bay Packers, who come closer and closer to winning and just barely fell short this time. And one of these weeks, Green Bay is going to do some things and win a game.
Right. All
and
right.
That's why you need to come watch Friday Night Lights to see Green Bay not stub their own toe and win a game.
Right.
You see them do some things and lots of interesting things.
Yep. So, all right.
2 weeks. Yeah. Well, at least this week, he didn't fumble the victory cigar in the fourth quarter, giving up a big lead. He just apparently tripped over the headset wires and somehow called a go for it on 4th and 75 instead of punting the ball.
Mm-hmm. All right, James, what do you got? What's your take on this?
My take is that what happened to Minnesota's rush defense? 8.4 yards last week, 7.0 yards this week. They don't seem to be able to stop the run. And my other take is, could this be the start of the young regime in Minnesota? Locks out is questionable 3, so he probably isn't playing next week. So maybe Young gets a chance to become the starter, and since he's not throwing interceptions like the other guy.
Okay. All right, guys. So we have completed our week 4 games. We're going to go ahead and pivot over to our middle segment, and that's going to be covering our current standings up to this point. Over on the AFC side, you have the New York Jets at 3-1, Indy at 3-1, Buffalo at 1-3, and New England still trying to get that first win after some real tough losses at 0-4. Over in the AFC West, you have Pittsburgh sitting at 3-1, Denver sitting at 2-2, Las Vegas at 2-2, Houston at 2-2, and Jacksonville at 1-3. Over on the NFC side, in the East, you have the New York Giants at 3-1, Washington at 3-1, Philly at 1-3, and Atlanta at 1-3. And over in the NFC West, you have Seattle at 4-0, Minnesota at 4-0, San Francisco at 2-2, Chicago at 1-3, and Green Bay, after a couple tough losses, they're still trying to get on the board at 0-4. So, what we're going to do is, I think normally sometimes we'd have Dean do the AFC, Mitch does the NFC. I'm just going to have it opened up and just have you guys on your take on both of them real quick. So we're going to start with our guest, James. What are you seeing on the AFC and NFC side, the good and bad?
I see Indianapolis looking like they're doing really well. Tim, like I said earlier, Tim's been a decent coach. He's only been under 6 wins once in his thing. He's went 8-8 last year. I think he's going to probably come second in the division. And I was really thinking Buffalo was going to do it, but Buffalo's kind of surprised me with how badly they played. The West has kind of really shocked me because it's been just kind of this slog fest there. It usually is, but you're looking at it and it's like they're not necessarily doing great outside of it. So I mean, we'll see how that plans out. I figure Houston's going to win it, but I'm not sure what's coming after that. The Giants are 3-1, but the only coach that's been to the playoffs they lost by 10 points. They beat Green Bay, Jacksonville, and Philadelphia, and Philadelphia did not look good in the game they played. Washington's Washington. Minnesota looks beatable this year. Minnesota doesn't seem to be able to stop the run. They are not winning by a lot, and that kind of opens it up. Seattle has a lot to prove, and we'll see how it goes. San Francisco. So it really is going to come down to Giants, Washington, Seattle, Minnesota, and San Francisco there, with an outside shot of Dan possibly pulling in. And in the AFC, like I said, it's probably New York and Indianapolis and 2 teams out of the West. Who it is could be any of the 4, not Jacksonville. And as far as the Giants, what I'll say for them is we won't find out how good they are until week 9 because they got Seattle, Atlanta, New England, and Atlanta. They should win all those games.
Okay. Mitch, what's your take on this?
Well, when you look across the league, I mean, there are some things that just are ises, right? Every year, Green Bay stinks, Atlanta stinking it up again, Jacksonville stinking it up again, New England stinking it up again. So, some things just don't really change that much, right? Chicago is worse than they were last year. They had a down season last year, so they're actually on the downswing. So that should allow, who knows? Maybe it will allow Seattle to sneak into the playoffs this year. I don't know. We'll see. Philadelphia, we'll see. They have the capacity to be better out there. The AFC West, we just kept beating the crap out of each other. Hopefully, we'll start having some games outside of the division here soon. And then you look at the NFC East, definitely impressed with Indianapolis. I think they're on the upswing. New York is, they're beatable again this year. Just somebody needs to step up and take that crown. And, Minnesota, you can be playing the, not so great football and be 4-0. That just means that they'll probably go 13-3 and win that division. So, overall, not too many surprises out there, other than really Seattle at 4-0. That's probably the biggest surprise. And then, outside of that, everything else is kind of where you might expect it right now.
Okay, Dean, what do you got?
I'm going to start with the AFC East. I think Indianapolis is the better team of those 2 3-1 teams. And I think if you look at last week, the way the Jets played and nearly lost to New England, if they play that way in some of their other games this season, they may lose some games they should win, and they may even lose enough games to fall out of the playoff race. You might see Indianapolis not only win the division, and I'm predicting it, but I'm saying it could happen. You could see the AFC West sending 3 teams to the playoffs. That could very well happen. New England, who someone here in this podcast said was going to be improved this year, they were 0-4. They've been pretty creative in finding ways to lose. Buffalo is struggling and kind of experimenting with some things and starting Robinson at quarterback, and we'll see how that goes. But excuse me, it's not a good start. In the AFC West, Pittsburgh is currently leading. I don't know that they're going to win the division. Las Vegas is 2-2. They've looked good at times. They've looked not so good at times. So we'll see whether. I mean, they're 2-2. They've scored 87 points and they've given up 89. So their defense isn't quite as good as you normally expect it for Las Vegas, and their offense is not all that good either. So it remains to see what direction that team could go. Either way, they could, 3 weeks from now, they could be 4-3 or 5-2, or they could be 2-5. It's hard to tell. In the NFC, the Giants are 3-1. Washington is 3-1. I mean, on paper, you would say that Washington is more likely to win that division, and probably will. We'll see whether the Jets continue to win more games and lose games, or is this a 3-1 start that ends in 6-10 or 5-11, or is this a 3-1 start where the Giants put it together and win, 10 games and make the playoffs? That remains to be seen. Seattle is 4-0. I think the Seattle team has improved. Is it going to win 12 or 13 games, or somewhere between 9 to 11? I'm not sure. Or could they finish 8-8? I mean, they'd have to go 4-8 for the rest of the season to go 8-8. I'm not sure that's going to happen either. The 49ers, I mean, they're a team that could go either way. They may make the playoffs this season. They may miss by a game or 2. In Chicago, I agree, is weaker than last season. Chicago will not be making the playoffs this season.
Okay. All right, guys. So I see that everyone has their take on it. I think that I look at how these teams are doing well. Obviously, the Jets, they're running on autopilot like they normally do. I mean, I got my Jack with me, so the Jets do what they do. I had to throw it out there because I just feel like taking a shot at Jack right now. Anyway.
We may have to redefine that.
Who is this Jack you're talking about? Is that your new roommate? Or?
Gentleman Jack. Actually,
is that what you're referring to as your roommate? Today
it is Jack Daniels, not Gentleman Jack. So,
it's his defensive coordinator. It's
is that your run game?
No, I don't need a defensive coordinator. I mean, I do need a defensive coordinator right now. The offensive side looks pretty nice on the passing side, but the running side, I need a run game coordinator, definitely. So, Indy, go ahead.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Indy is definitely.
I mean, everybody else is getting interim coaches. Mark, join the club. Right?
This is true. Indy is taking another step up. I remember, I think it was maybe like one or two, like the last season or season before, on one of the shows, Mitch talked about how they were climbing the ladder and was going to get better, and they seem to get better every year. So I think Mitch, not to put words in his mouth, I think he's still on that same mindset that, hey, they're taking those steps where they need to be. Buffalo, even though they moved from San Diego over to Buffalo, we're all on that alert for him to say that he is just throwing in the towel. And usually when he says that, that's when he goes into beast mode and starts taking things out. So we're on a wait list to hear him say that. He hasn't said it yet, but usually when he says that, that's when he starts taking off and doing his thing. Mox, I kind of feel for Mox because he's lost some close games, and there are some games that he should have won, but he didn't. Against Seattle was one of them, and this week's game was another example of games that he should have taken and gotten that victory. So it's a bitter pill to swallow for him. Pittsburgh, Pitt, obviously we knew that they were going to get better. That was another thing that we talked about in one of the previous shows. Denver is doing well. He's continuing plugging on. I think in the West he's up at 103 points. Next closest team is Vegas at 87 points. So they're putting some pretty decent numbers up. Vegas is getting in there. Houston's getting in there. Pretty much everyone's beating the crap out of each other. Jacksonville, a couple tough losses. If he would have won a game, obviously, I hate to say it, against Seattle, close game, he could have been up there at 2-3, or actually 2-2. Looking at this, he could have been in that same fight where they beat the crap out of each other every season. So, ever since I've been in the PNFL, that's been the division that's always just, it's what they used to say, a slobber knocker. Would you say that, Mitch? Pretty much that division, you just pretty much beat the crap out of each other. So,
well, we produce Super Bowl teams that leave us and go to the NFC, like Dean and like Barney. I mean, they leave and they end up going to the Super Bowl in the NFC.
Well, I just want to point out that you guys were in a slugfest with Dean and Mark in your division. So I mean, that doesn't say much for your talent.
Well, I
never lost to Dean when he was in that division. So
that's right. Yeah, you did lose to Mark though. So yeah.
Yeah, using those cheat plays.
Don't even try it. So over on the NFC side, New York, hey, they're stepping up, but I think like James said, let's see how it goes, because some teams, they'll start off fast and then they just kind of run out of gas heading down the line. So we'll see what happens there. Washington's always been a good team, so I'm expecting them to keep moving forward. Philly, I was expecting to see more from Philly, but I think that they'll get themselves right, and they'll turn it around and get themselves moving. Atlanta, I mean, Dean, you've been to the Super Bowl. I don't know what the formula was at that point. I've never been there. I've never been to the playoffs, so I really can't speak too much on it. But, maybe dig back into the archives and find out what it was back then that got you where you needed to be. And what was old could be new again. Who knows? On the West side, I'm not going to say squat. I mean, as another coach in the league, I won't say who, but in a one-on-one conversation, basically said, Mark, there's teams that you have to beat, and you're beating the teams that you have to beat. You have a tough road coming ahead, and you got those teams, in order to make it to the playoffs, there are certain teams that coaches in the league look at and say, yeah, Seattle should beat these teams. There's teams that, hey, is going to be a challenge for you, and I'm getting ready to hit that patch right now and see how things come up. There's going to be Pittsburgh. There's going to be Philly. There's going to be Washington. There's going to be San Francisco coming up. So, Minnesota. I've heard I play Minnesota quite well at times. I play Philly good at times, but I end up coming short. So those are going to be the big tests to see what happens. Minnesota, I know they're going to be there. That there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Charlie has a way of trying to get himself together and get himself moving. Chicago, I don't know what Justin's doing with the new coach coming on board, how that's going to work out. So it's kind of you don't know what you're going to get from there. You don't know if Justin's going to step back in and start doing his thing, or is he going to just sit back. And Shuggy, he's had some tough losses, but I don't know. Shuggy has to fix a lot on his offense and definitely has to fix a lot on his defense. So that's my take.
Actually, I think if I saw right on the forum, y'all can go check me on this, but I think I saw a post from Shuggy wanting a rule change that we only play 3 quarters instead of 4, because I think he'd be undefeated if that was the case. So go check that out. It was a pretty cool rule change he put in on the forum.
I would like to see the stats on how each team, like in the NFL, they break down, okay, how many did you score in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter? How many have you given up? Because what was it? It's over at least 80 points or something like that he's given up in the fourth.
No, what I'd like to see, how the games, they'll have, I can't remember what it's called. One of y'all will remember, think of it. But like it'll have, percent chance to win or whatever, or this point, though Green Bay has a 99.7% chance to win at this point. I would love to see that for Green Bay's games because, there has been times where I bet that percentage would have been over 90%, and somehow they figured out a way to lose the game. So that's what I want to see. Maybe we'll figure that out on Friday Night Lights. I'll find that formula, and we'll start calculating that just for the Green Bay games.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see. Most definitely. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pivot over to our Week 5 game. So we're going to start our second round as we run through.
Mark.
Yes.
Mark. Actually, one quick thing before we move to the next segment. I know we went through and shared where our thoughts are, but I think it might be just interesting. Maybe just have everybody go and, maybe select a team that's right now, say, in last place in their division, who you think will actually or have the potential to end up at 500 or better this season.
Okay. James, since you're our guest this week, we'll start with you. Put you in the hot seat.
If you're talking about team that's in last place in the division, that's Philadelphia. They're the 3-1-3. They have played Washington twice and Minnesota, so they've played the tough part of the schedule already, and they're 1-3. So they have the best shot between Atlanta, Green Bay, Jacksonville, and New England. I don't see any of those other 4 teams going 500.
Okay. Mitch, who you got?
I'm looking hard at these teams, and it looking pretty bleak for some of these guys, for sure. But as I really look deep into the crystal ball here, you look at New England, they've got a game against Las Vegas. They get the Giants. They get Atlanta. They get a bad Chicago team. And then, you go and you look at a team like Green Bay, and you look at that schedule, you're like, all right, they got Jacksonville, Philadelphia, which, we're still figuring them out. You got Las Vegas. They get a bad Chicago team twice. They get Atlanta. I'm going to say it. I think, Shuggy is going to figure out a way to not screw up in the fourth quarter. I think he could finish 8-8.
Well, I can say that. Okay, interesting. I'll keep my comments to last. Dean, you're up.
I think Marks is going to get his profile issues together and play much better. I think that this last game against the Jets was kind of the wake-up call, and I think he knows what he needs to fix. I think he's going to do it, and I think the Patriots are the best of the team that is most likely to improve to an 8-8 record by the end of the season. Of these four, I guess five, considering that two NFC East teams are tied for last.
The big controversy here is Atlanta didn't say Atlanta.
That would require playing some offense.
Well, I'll give you a little. One thing I will say that watching some of the games I watched, people need to stop calling pass long and pass razzle dazzle all the time. They are crapshoots. Do not throw them. Pass medium works just fine. It's a pass medium is your goal for getting getting first downs and stuff like that. Stop launching the ball downfield for a 1 in 3 chance or less, especially now that defenses are covering it.
That would help if you can complete any pass medium plays.
You're going to complete a lot more of them than you're throwing the pass razzle dazzle. I mean, that's your end of the second half, end of the first half, you almost gave up a safety trying to do pass razzle dazzle inside your own 10.
Not so dazzling, huh?
Yeah, Mitch has mentioned that to me a couple times about not going out there and going out and pushing this other razzle dazzle and getting all that other stuff. Just let it go and quit doing that. I think it's usually like late in the game, so trying to get away from that as well. So
I mean, I think it's all right if you try to throw a little wrinkle in from time to time to catch a team off guard. But yeah, there are some teams that it's too predictable. And like you said, James, if you know the team is going to do that play, it's easy to defend. It's those situations where you don't know what's going to happen is where it's tough.
Yeah. My guess right now for the team that's in the basement, pulling themselves up, I gotta agree with my state brother. I gotta say Philly. I would like to say as a caveat put Dean in there as well, but Dean, you're my brother, man. But there's a lot. What I see from Dean is that whatever it was he did a couple seasons ago to get himself to the Super Bowl, dig it up, pull it up, find out what it is, throw that crap back out there. I don't think anyone's going to go that deep to go look and see what that magic was and sprinkle that little dust on there and turn things around. Because
it's in Chicago.
Mark, I know exactly what the magic dust was. And he's starting for Chicago.
Yes, he's starting in Chicago.
Oh,
that's the magic dust.
Oh. 2 out of 3.
Dean hasn't had a winning season since Justin Fields left. And Justin Fields took him to two 10-win seasons in his 3 seasons in Atlanta, and he got booted after the Super Bowl.
Hey, you might.
That's the magic dust.
Dean, you need to get a special op crew together and go kidnap him.
Dean, you've had 3 winning seasons. 2 of them had the same starting quarterback.
Yeah. And apparently, and the best rated quarterback in the league just got traded to Atlanta, and now he stinks.
Okay, so
if you think Fields won those 2 seasons, you've been smoking something.
Hold on, Dean. Dean, before you finish. Hang on, Dean. Dean, before you finish, Mitch and James, do you think I'm right on this? Whatever that was, he needs to go get him.
What I'm telling you is it wouldn't work. A lot of those points, if you look at the 2041 season, the defense was terrible and the offense was very good. But a lot of the offense was on big plays, and yes, those dreaded pass razzle dazzle plays called at the end of the half in the last 5 minutes scored a lot of those points. That wouldn't work now because people defend that. I mean, after that season, Jerry started designing and drawing up new pass razzle dazzle defenses to stop that crap. other teams have that wouldn't work right now. We were just talking a few minutes ago about how the pass razzle dazzle defenses aren't working anymore when they're called in the situations which they're expected because people are covering them.
Justin Fields was dazzling in Atlanta, don't you think, James?
Yes, he was. In fact, there was a talk about one quarterback starting out of that draft and the other one not. It wasn't the quarterback's fault, the reason why he didn't keep starting. It was that someone gave up on him. And that's a story. Quarterbacks given up by a certain coach seem to do well everywhere else.
Balls has he won since then? On his own strength, none. He's not been serious.
Well, yeah, because his coach is inactive. I mean, so that kind of is the thing.
84 endurance quarterbacks have won Super Bowls in the last 5 years. Last 5 seasons.
That's why I wouldn't have drafted him first pick in the first round. I mean, that's kind of what I've been trying to get Barney to realize is Locke needs to get benched because that 84 endurance is the reason he's been throwing so many interceptions in the playoffs, is my opinion.
Exactly why Justin Fields didn't cut it. Precisely.
But I think that he's better than anything that you've been putting up, so... But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the 84 endurance.
Atlanta hasn't sniffed 10 wins since he got cut. That's all I know. Or traded. Traded. Yeah.
But I mean,
Justin Fields was not the solution. He went to the Super Bowl and played like crap and lost. He did the same. He did it once. Drew Lock has done it twice. Drew Lock has lost 2 Super Bowls.
Well, I mean, I will agree. Let's just agree. Those 3 winning seasons were flukes. There was no science behind them. It was just pure luck and pure randomness.
Wow. I don't think anyone makes the playoffs on pure luck and pure randomness.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's the case.
Thomas makes it every year on complete submitted 19 plans and profiles at the beginning of the season. I don't think it's that hard to make the playoffs if with some of these teams.
We may see this season that isn't enough to get it done, especially when Indianapolis and a few other teams in the AFC are playing better.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see. He might not make it, but it's getting harder to make the playoffs. But I mean, I was going 7-9 to 9-7 on just submitting plans and profiles week 1 and running with them. So I mean, you can get lucky and win games. It's not that unusual. And
just lose games.
Yep. And just to clear everything up, since you guys have talked about it a few times, yeah, I have stuff that I just don't have time to do it. So I basically, what happened with the whole coach thing was that I reached out to Rich and said how many people are on the waiting list. I can let them coach because I basically will, or I can just submit a plan and profile and run with it for the season. And figured I'd probably still make the playoffs if I did that. But
okay. All right. So we are running a little bit long, but that's fine. You guys I think we're doing good. Everyone's enjoying themselves. So we're going to go ahead and pivot over to our week 5 games. Do I really want to call it a week 5 games, or do I want to call it the Pick'em week? Because I am looking at 4 Pick'em games. Let me move this over. Let me move this over on the screen.
I hate Pick'em games. I wish they were half-point games because you can push. I hate without the 0.5.
Well, on one side, I would say with the Pick'em games, it's a setup for some really, on paper, some really good games. So it kind of opens everything up. I would rather have a Pick'em game than a game that's a 14.5 point or a 10.5 point.
You're misunderstanding what the Pick'em games are this week. The Pick'em games are 3 games that they don't know what to expect of the coaches, and 1 game that's a good game. I don't think any of the pick'em games are going to be close except one.
Okay. So we're gonna run through them.
Go ahead. Abomination, by the way, never told us which game was the abomination.
Well, hold on.
Hold
up. We're gonna go through this, and we're gonna run through them. Obviously, as you guys know, we have our lead pipe blocks on each one of them. We're gonna bring that back, try to make some more noise on that. As in last week, Rich picked for me, so I think what I'm gonna do is when the guest comes in, I'm going to have the guest pick for me instead. In this case, it's going to be Mr. Bloomer. So he is going to do the picks for my team or for my place. So the highest spread that we have is 8.5. And obviously, we're looking at 4 pick'em games. So we're going to go run through those real quick. So as we are a little bit over time, but we're going to go ahead and jump into this right now. First game on the list, we have the Indianapolis Colts hosting the Buffalo Bills. It is a pick'em game. We're going to start with you, Mr. Bloomer.
If Buffalo only has a shot if they start Williams, and I still don't think they're going to win. Indy.
All right. Mitch.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to go with Indy this week, too. We'll see what they pull out of the hat.
All right. Dean.
Yeah, Steve hasn't declared he's tanking yet, and I guess if he did, he'd probably start Williams. So I'm picking the Colts to win at home.
Okay. Next game up, we have the Houston Oilers hosting the New York Jets. They are giving the Jets 4.5. We're going to start with Dean.
Yeah, I think the Oilers are going to be very happy this week playing the Jets. In fact, I think they're going to be so happy to play the Jets and win them. And the spread goes the other way, but if there was a spread, I would say they win it and cover it. I will put a lead pipe lock on this. Oilers will win at home against the Jets.
All right. James.
This game is tough. What Baker Mayfield's going to show up? I'm going to go with the Jets because I think Baker's going to throw one too many interceptions.
Ooh. Okay. Coach, what do you got?
Now we're going to go with the Oilers this week, and we're going to be just fine.
Okay. How did I know that Coach was not going to come up with anything other than that? So, next game up, we have our second pick'em of the week. We have the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the New England Patriots. Dean, you're up.
I think this will be a close game, but I think it could be a couple turnovers and maybe a few other issues. I think the Raiders will win close at home.
All right. I missed the order, so I'm going to jump back and go to Mitch. You're up.
Well, let's see. Who do I think is going to win this game? I'm going to go with New England. I think Mox is going to get off the goose egg.
Okay. All right, go ahead, James.
I'm going to go with Vegas, but what's going to be interesting in this game is New England's the third pass offense and Vegas is the fifth pass offense. New England's the 18th pass defense, and the Raiders are the 16th pass defense. So there should be passing all over the field.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a little post-it note in there. After listening to Mox and our brother from up north, I think he is ticked off enough to where he's gonna put something together to say, you know what, I'm gonna take this game and I'm gonna prove a point. So I think. I think he's gonna do. I think he's gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna prove a point. I'm gonna make a statement this week.
I think every time he's tried to prove a point, he's lost though. So
yeah, but I think he's realizing that the issue is it's not the plays, it's his coaching profile. Would you guys agree?
That's part of the issue. Yeah.
I think
don't.
the coaching problem is part of the issue. I don't know if it's the whole issue, because losing as much as he has isn't just one issue.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a I think it's his coaching profile, because every time he's lost, everyone's been pointing and saying, "Dude, look at your profile." So I think he's going to look at that. So,
Well, the pass defense is definitely an issue too. You can't be like ranked 16th or 18th in pass defense
yeah, that's true
and
too.
expect games.
That's true too. All right, next up we have the Denver Broncos taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. That is our pick'em game number 3. We're going to go ahead and start with you, James.
This is the game that I think is going to be close. I think it's going to end up being Denver, because you got the 5th best in the 7th best rushing offense versus the 17th rushing defense. I think they'll actually be able to run the ball and win the game.
All right, Mitch.
I'm going to go with Denver just because I need, everyone to be 3-2 so we can be all banged up there together. So going with Denver.
All right.
I think
Dean.
that's interesting. After what I saw last week, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in Denver. So even though they are the home team, I'm picking Pittsburgh to win this game.
All right. Our final pick'em game for the week, we have the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Ooh, Mitch, start us off.
I'm going to go with the Eagles. I think Dan will rebound from the atrocious display of defense last week. So I'm going to go with the Eagles.
All right. We're going to go with our guest this week, Mr. Bloomer. What's your head coach OCDC going to do?
I think the best thing for a bad defense is to play the Atlanta offense. I think the Eagles are going to win. I don't think Atlanta has a great offense, and Dan usually does play pretty good defense. He's played pretty good defense against Jerry and Barney, so I think the Eagles will be just fine.
Okay. Dean, what you going to do to hold down the fort?
Not so fast. I think this is going to be a close, low-scoring game that the home team wins, probably by a field goal.
Okay. Next game up, we have the Chicago Cardinals taking on the Washington Redskins. They're giving the Redskins 6.5. Mitch.
Let's go with Washington. Chicago, I don't have any faith in Chicago.
All right. Dean.
Jerry will get his offense back on track, and Washington will win and cover the spread in this game, even as the visiting team.
All right. James.
This should be a 20-point spread. I just don't see Chicago being in this game. Jerry's going to have something to prove after the whatever he put on the field last week. He's got a lot to fix, but I think he'll fix it. And it'll be by a lot.
Okay. Next game up, we have the Seattle Seahawks hosting the New York Giants. They are giving the Seahawks 4.5. Dean, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going with the Seahawks to win at home and cover the spread.
All right. James.
18th in rushing is not going to win the game. Giants.
Mitch.
I'm kind of feeling the Giants too, James. Is it where is this game being played at?
Seattle.
In Seattle, in the Dome. I'll go with the home team. I'll go with Seattle.
Mitch, I think this is a must-win game for either team, because the loser of this game is probably going to start on that slide to
Yeah, it's a big
a
game.
losing
It's
season.
a big game. Yeah, if Seattle can go 5-0, they can almost guarantee at least an 8-8 record. So
Have either of these teams have either of these coaches ever had a winning season? I know
no,
Sean has, and I don't
no,
know if Mark
no,
has.
no.
No,
Best is 8-8.
yeah, my best was 8-8.
So I mean, this could be the leading to one of them having a winning season who wins this game.
Yeah.
I would agree that this is definitely a must-win for both. Definitely a must-win. So
Didn't Sean win the wild card spot with an 8-8 record that season?
John got
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, he had 8-8.
And I just want to talk about balanced offenses. Seattle is second in passing yards and 18th in rushing. That is such a balanced offense.
Yes, I know. And for those that was on Discord on Friday night, I think you guys heard me complaining about not having enough running. That and everybody's like, oh, you're winning. Your passing game is winning. It's like, no, dude, I need to run. So, yes.
Yes, but your offense is at 145 points and leading the league.
Don't care. Don't care. I got to run. What
it could be better, but it's not bad.
Mitch,
he hasn't played anybody though. He's played
Mitch,
New England crap.
Mitch, what did you say? You had to have a balanced offense and you have to have a running game, right?
just have to show balanced attempts.
There you go.
If you're throwing the ball all the time, any of the good coaches are going to stop you.
Exactly. That's why.
My team sucks at passing and it sucks at running the ball, so it's balanced.
Well, that's why everyone kept complaining about, Mark, why are you talking this? Basically, why are you bitching? You're winning. Again, I gotta be able to run the ball, and I haven't been able to run the ball.
And it's good that you're winning against teams you're supposed to win, but you have to be able to beat the playoff teams if you're going to make the playoffs, and you haven't yet.
Well, thank you.
I just don't understand why everybody's surprised that the creator of the SE27 toss has trouble running the football.
As far as the SE27 toss, be on the lookout. Be on the lookout.
If you're I would not get into play creation.
No. I got something. It's going to be
profiles and plans.
Like I said, there's a method to my madness right now, but the biggest thing that I'm ticked off about is that, and James called it, if any coaches out there, they're going to look at what is Seattle doing on passing and running. Seattle can't run. So if we stop the pass, we got Seattle because they can't run for shit.
See, your lack of running game means you need to revise the SE27 toss, flip it, and do SE28.
Shh. Not so loud.
That way you can get even farther behind at 18th. And there's no hope.
You can suck.
Oh my goodness!
You can get yardage like Dean gets on sweeps.
Ouch!
Yeah. You do negative. What brand of that stuff were you token up on before the show earlier?
Dean, I was watching your first series and you ran the ball twice on sweeps. And I think you were at 3rd and 13, and it's like, wow, this is bad. I run the ball, so when I run the ball, I'm at least trying to get 2 to 3 yards, so I'm not at 10 double-digit yards to go. And you basically ran the ball twice and ended up even farther back. So yeah, you have to run the ball. I mean, if I was game planning against you, I'd see that and I would just sell out to stop the pass, and if you couldn't run the ball, it would be game over.
Then you'd probably give up 250 yards of rushing then.
No. You can call us selling out the pass with plays that still stop the run at a reasonable amount. Not like what Minnesota is doing with the 7 or 8 yards a carry.
And plus, the team would have to literally run the ball 80% of the time to make up the difference.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and move on because we are way over time. All right, coming down to our last two games, we have the Minnesota Vikings taking on the San Francisco 49ers. They are giving the Vikings 8.5. I don't know who I started off with last time. We're going to start this one off with Dean.
Yeah, I think the Vikings will win this game at home. I think the 49ers are a pretty good team, but they've been kind of inconsistent. And I think Barney has seen some of the issues with his team, and he'll work on those. And I think we'll see a more comprehensive effort and stronger output by Minnesota.
All right, James.
Hey, this is a tough one for me because I think Minnesota's going to win, but they haven't been able to stop the run, and Charlie likes to run. But surprisingly, San Francisco's the 18th in defensive and run defense. So, but since I know Mitch is going to go Minnesota, I'm going to go San Francisco.
All right, Mitch.
Not even a question. Minnesota.
Enough said. We already know.
Right.
You got the pom-poms and the cheerleading outfit on. So, all right, last game of week 5, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on Shuggy and the Packers. They're giving the Jags 3.5. Mitch, start us off.
Green Bay by 10.
Dean.
Yeah, Green Bay will win this game. They'll do some things.
All right, James.
Lead pipe lock, Jacksonville.
Sounds like it's going to be an interesting game this week. So, all right, guys.
That led the curse.
Yep.
That's what you did. You did that earlier, yes.
Yes, you did.
No, I was saying you just did that.
Oh, no. Jacksonville, I mean, Jacksonville's slightly better as a coach. That's the only reason. I mean, and Green Bay is so bad on offense.
Mm-hmm. All right.
That may be true. Green Bay is going to be slightly more creative and do some things. Win this game.
Yeah, but when you get slightly more creative, he creates pass plays that end up in the interceptions all the time.
Hey, he might bring back GV27 screen.
Go Jacksonville.
All right, so we're going to add not really a bonus on there because I forgot to add this in here. We are going in with the PCFL into the championship game. Dean, what do we have coming up this week? I know you had your semifinals this past Saturday, and what is going on with the finals this week?
Well, I'll just briefly mention we had 2 very good games on Saturday night that a few of us got together and watched live. We played them and recorded them and streamed them live. We had Tennessee at Texas, which was tied at 24, tied at 32, and then when Texas was leading 39-32, there was a key opportunity, I believe it was a turnover where Tennessee didn't score, and then Texas won 47-32 in a game that could have been closer than that, and Tennessee was leading earlier. Ohio State got off to a 21-7 lead and looked to be dominant, and UCLA made a comeback, but Ohio State held on to win 21-16. So this week we are playing in a neutral dome. We are playing Texas at Ohio State, and it is possible if both of the teams get their stuff in that the game will be actually played and recorded late Thursday night or on Friday if they get their stuff in time. So we may be able to stream the game as possibly the first game just before the PNFL games on Friday. Otherwise, it may be streamed on Saturday. Just depends on whether the 2 teams get their stuff in. This will be our second PCFL National Championship.
All right. And if there's anyone out there that wants to join into the PCFL, there's definitely some teams open. How many teams do you have open right now?
I believe we have 8 teams open, or maybe 9.
All right. So,
Wait.
so if you guys are out there and you're interested, go ahead and jump in. And obviously, we're going to be on Discord. I'll add that in with the on the podcast, so you'll see it listed on there. So you need to join in. You can go ahead and go into the Discord channel and check everything else out. So,
and the website is pcfl.site, S-I-T-E.
All right, so jump in there. So, as we come to finish up week 5, I think it's starting off pretty good. I think we had a nice way to chop it up as far as where we're at the quarter turn. There's definitely some teams that we were, I guess you guys could say that we were surprised about. And then we'll see how some teams will go, and as we move to the second, coming around the halfway mark. So I would like to thank having Mitch and Dean on here and our guest James. So as we go around the table one last time, we're going to start with James. Any final words?
Not really, except watch out how much you believe in teams that are winning early. Look who they beat. Way too many people get caught up in teams that beat bad teams.
Mm-hmm.
We all beat bad teams. It's not unusual.
Okay. Dean, any final words?
Yeah, except we don't all beat bad teams. That's why I have a couple 0-4 teams in the league. So we don't all beat the bad teams.
We don't beat them all the time.
Unless you are the bad team.
No, we don't beat them all the time. Those bad teams win games. I mean, you consistently win 3, 4, 5 games every season. So you do beat teams.
I consistently only beat the Giants last season.
Well, I mean, that's beating a bad team that year. I mean, they were a bad team.
Well, could it also be that teams that were bad the previous seasons decide, okay, let's try to turn this thing around, and they could elevate themselves? Obviously, you're not going to know how the season goes, but
Mark, I wish I could believe you, but
it's not a statement. It's a question.
Let me say this. Remember a few seasons ago when I posted the predictions based on coaches' winning percentage?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it amazing how close to accurate that was?
Yeah.
And what turned out. Coaches generally are what they are right now. And I do hope. I mean, Tim looks like he's starting to step it up. Sean's looking better right now. So it's possible you're looking better. But like I said, you guys really haven't played anybody. The one team Sean's played, he lost to. It's kind of, the first step is beating the teams you're supposed to beat, and then it's starting to beat teams that you weren't expected to beat. And we all do that sometimes. We all have these weird games that we kind of pull it out, and it's like, ooh, that was a good one. But it's, people are consistently what they are right now. I'd like to see teams step it up, but I mean, like I said, a lot of coaches don't have a single winning season.
Mm-hmm. Good
so
point.
I mean,
good point. Mitch, what do you got for you to take us home?
Friday Night Lights. Join us. Have some fun. Other than that, let's get it.